Hey, what's up everybody? BDF 44 coming at you with another video. Alright. Bus was free today. The machine was broken, so that was a nice little blessing. Something told me to wait for the bus. I didn't feel like walking anyway. But yeah, man, just trying to keep my energy straight. There's a big difference between strength and bad energy. There's a thin line at times too. And you walk around with a certain level of strength and it turns into pensive energy. Pensive energy can come off as negative energy or aggressive energy. Strength in its purest form is balanced and ultimately willing and to let good things in. And so when you're taking on new strength, make sure that you are aware of that, because a lot of times that too is a thin line between showing pensive energy and defensive energy. Being defensive, unnecessarily defensive, which can tend to welcome the wrong energy in return, for which we do not want. So these are things that I'm thinking about as I walk around with a certain level of pensive energy that's in response to what it is I've been asking the Lord to do, which is giving me the confidence and strength to cut my losses in regards to my friend K, and if from there to give me the strength and whatever would be necessary to continue speaking on things that matter in this world with my channel. And I've been using a lot of aggressive kind of energy to display what it is that I've been feeling in regards to these horrible atrocities in this world. But what I don't want is for that to turn me into a bitter person, thinking about all the wrong in this world and how evil people can be toward one another and how indifferent those can be. People can be in regards to this capitalistic society where whoever has the power makes the rules. You can get really angry thinking about how things go in that regard. You can get really angry looking at how people turn a blind eye to horrible things like genocide, things like that. You can find yourself very frustrated. But at the same time, you got to know not to push out that frustration in the way of treating others a certain way just because you're feeling that way and you're thinking that way. You got to put out the energy that is positive so that you can be a part of the solution and not the problem. And that's the balance for me to find from here on out. To be kind while still have these thoughts in my mind. To be kind while still trying to cut that for which is tender in nature, more or less, off in regards to my need and my longing for my friend K's attention or whatever that would otherwise be defined as properly. I got to be able to turn that off while still keeping the kindness on so that I could be welcoming of positivity, welcoming a new energy that is positive or whatever would be equated to that for which is good for me. So I want to ask people to keep that balance, ask the Lord for that balance. Once that strength is in, you feel that strength, then ask him to calm that down, smooth that out so that strength don't come off the wrong way. You know, I don't want to be defensive. That's weakness. The Lord's got my back. He is my defense. I don't need to put up negative energy to keep people off me. That's not strong. That's weakness disguised as strength. What you're really doing is trying to protect yourself because you're scared. That doesn't work. Doesn't work. Being vulnerable with a smile on your face while things are going on is a better way to display strength, in my humble opinion. Being unbothered is a better way to display that, if you ask me. And that's what I hope to display toward y'all, man. Not to say that I am unbothered, because I'm very much bothered by some of the stuff I'm seeing. But to not let them see you sweat, so to speak. Especially when you're in the presence of others who are not really part of the problem anyway. To let them see you as a solution to maybe what it is that would otherwise make them defensive or make them feel apprehensive in your presence. To create safe spaces for the people that ultimately are around you. To be approachable. What, are you afraid of being approached? These are the questions you got to ask yourself when you put on a hard face. What are you so afraid of? Afraid of being seen as weak? Why? Why? When you know that weakness ain't in you at all. Unless it is. It's for which you don't need to hold it back or hide it from others because you know it ain't weak. Let them perceive it as they do. If that strength is in you, then you know to be secure within it. These are things they ain't going to teach you out here because you got to put on a hard face or otherwise you can get bullied in certain situations, particularly in jail. People with a jail mentality, they better put on a strong face, or otherwise it's going to affect how others attack them, attach themselves to them, or what have you. This ain't jail. Every environment is different, and as it pertains to living in the public sector with others, you ain't got to act like that. All that's going to do is bring about energy you don't want that'll send you right back, if that's where you came from. So consider this, what strength really is, and especially when you believe in God and you know He got your back. You ain't got to put out defensive mechanisms or be in denial about anything. I welcome the truth, and anything that I would otherwise be in denial about, I ask that He help me understand how to cut that off so that that denial is not in place, as we were talking about in that first video. I gotta cut it off, so that whatever it is that I'm holding on to that otherwise I'm afraid to let go of, He could strengthen that fear, so that fear ain't strong upon me no more, so that that fear ain't fear anymore. And that's what it's all about. Anything that's weak within me, I ask the Lord that He strengthen it. Anything that's insecure within me, I ask the Lord to secure it. Anything that's flawed within me, I ask Him that He smooth it out, so that I can learn the lessons necessary to put better energy out. This is what we're talking about on this channel at this moment. Because otherwise we just getting strength in some areas and showing weakness in others. As to which it'll balance out to you being weak any damn way. So let the Holy Spirit in on this process. Just like you let Him in on cutting things off and strengthening you, let Him in on smoothing out your energy and making you better than you've been. Let Him in on that. Let Him in on what it otherwise make you feel more mature if you're a young person. Maybe it's maturity that you're lacking. Maybe it's the ability to see clearly, as we were saying earlier. Maybe your eyes, you're not seeing everything through the lens that you're supposed to be seeing it through. Maybe you're looking at things through only a worldly lens. Maybe He needs to open up your third eye a little bit for you to be able to make better decisions upon your circumstance, or view the circumstances the way you need to. As my uncle said, maybe you're only looking at it through a spiritual lens. Maybe you need to be able to see it as in the worldly way too. Maybe you're only looking at it through one lens and need the other. It's a real thing. God is in control of both. Maybe you need to be a little more down to earth rather than up in the clouds or wherever else it is that you're thinking about. Whatever the case may be, ask the Lord to balance that out. And that can be all encompassed in strength, so long as you perceive it as such. So that's what I'm saying to all of y'all, man. Let strength be a part of what it is that your daily ask is. While we asking for protection, or to make life easier, to make life so much more what we would want it to be, ask the Lord to make it so that you're able to be who you need to be in the circumstances from which the strength is given. And ask the Lord to help you forgive somebody, or forgive yourself, or see where you need to be asking for forgiveness, where otherwise you're afraid to see that within yourself. Maybe you don't want to welcome the fact that you could have been wrong. Maybe you can't accept that maybe you got it the wrong way this time, because if you do that, then what? You have to answer that for me. But at the end of the day, if it's not going to bring about the right consequences for you, or if it ain't going to allow you to see yourself true, or if you're going to have people up against you that you otherwise want on your side, these are the type of things that you need to decide to go a different route with. Sometimes it is okay to say, I was wrong, let me make it right, or I apologize, or I'm sorry. A lot of people are so afraid to say sorry. They're so afraid. They don't see it as fear because they think saying sorry shows weakness, but it don't. Protecting of oneself is to protect a vulnerability, and the vulnerability in and of itself is a weakness. So you tell me what's weak. Saying sorry or refusing to. All you're doing is protecting yourself from being seen as somebody who could ever have made a mistake, as to which being vulnerable, showing that you have made a mistake, is strengthening in and of it itself. Because those who aren't afraid to be held accountable will not be afraid to be seen as someone who's made a mistake. Those who aren't afraid to not be perfect are the ones who are not afraid to be held accountable for making mistakes. So you tell me, if you're afraid to be held accountable, then of course you're going to be afraid to apologize for something that you did wrong. A lot of people are confused by the fact that they think that that is strong. It is not. It's weakness. A lot of y'all been taught the wrong way by the wrong people who didn't know how not to do what otherwise made them look weak in the eyes of those who were looking at them clearly through both lenses. The world will tell you need to keep a strong hold on your defenses, because otherwise there would be no God in this worldly mindset. But it don't hold nothing over you that you don't allow to hold over you. That's the reality of it. God got your back, your front, your side, every part of you. You just got to decide to let him in. That's all it is, friends. That's it. And if your weakness or your ego is what's in the way of letting the Lord in, then you got to see that somehow, for which sometimes it takes him to be asked to help us have the strength to see that. And then when we do see it, we got to make the changes necessary to trust him in those areas, which is what I've been understanding as of late. That's what a lot of this era of my life is about, is seeing where otherwise I wasn't applying faith, even though I didn't realize I wasn't. You say you believe in God. Do you believe in him over there? You believe in him over here, you believe in him over here, but do you believe in him when it comes to that specific thing right there? And you say yes, but then you do something that doesn't allow him to have your back, or to allow him to move in that area of your life, or allow him to dictate something coming or going out of your life, then you're going to realize that you were lying to yourself, that you didn't believe in God when it came to that area. And maybe it's okay to have not known that until right now. But now that you know, it's time to do things differently. It's time to grow. It's time to let him in on that area. And so that's what I'm telling all of y'all. Let him in on that area, whatever that area is that you're afraid to let God in. Ask him to help you see it, and then do so. It's the best thing you can do for bettering yourself as a human being as you grow. It's the best thing you can do. So yeah, that's what it is. You know, I saw just now, thank goodness the little girl was smart. She was running out of the school and it looked like she could run across the street, and there was a car coming. And it became a situation where it's like, it's up to us to teach our kids not to do that. But it's also, when kids learn that, it's up to them to apply it. No different than any animal where you train them. Say, yo, don't run across the street if you're free. They have to apply that. They got to legitimately apply that. And that goes the same for us grown folks. Once we realize we did something incorrect or messed up somewhere, we got a choice to either take what it is that we know is right for what it is that we know and learned and apply it, or get it wrong and then find ourselves in a situation where otherwise we get the consequences of our mistake. That mistake it's not a disgrace to mess up on your training or forget something, but if you deliberately do the wrong thing as if you've never been trained, then you get the consequences of that. It just is what it is. She may have been trained 1,000,000 times not to run across that street, but this time she saw something over there she had to go get, and with that would have came getting hit. What I'm telling you is, sometimes we make a mistake. Sometimes the Lord allows us to survive those mistakes. Sometimes we just get it wrong. But you can't act as if you're never capable of making a mistake. You can't act as if you're never capable of falling off track. Or just because you learned that you're never supposed to run across the street doesn't mean that one time in your little mind you may be tempted to do so because you saw a friend across the street, or a ball rolled out into the street, or something of that nature. All I'm saying is, let's try to get it right the first time, because we have been trained on a lot of these mistakes. Let's understand that some of these mistakes can't be made twice, so don't play around with your life. Listen to some dudes on the back of the train talking about fentanyl, on the back of the bus rather, just now. I saw one dude talking to another dude talking about He and his buddy thought he was taking some other type of drug. It ended up being fentanyl. They both ended up in the hospital. I understand we got to self-medicate, some of us. I'm not above that. I smoked weed. That was my thing. Haven't done it in a while, but some mistakes you can't make twice, friend. Not everybody is going to be savvy enough, sharp enough, or what have you to make good decisions, but they're going to be the examples of why you shouldn't have did certain things or why you shouldn't do certain things. It ain't to be followed. The unwise are not to be followed. Seek wisdom in your life. Learn from those who decided to run across that street even though they knew better or maybe didn't know better. Learn from them. Don't be the one that has to be burned in order to know you shouldn't touch the stove. Learn from somebody else who told you that when they did touch it, it burnt them. Learn from them. Those who know. That's what I'm here to tell y'all. Not every mistake needs to be made, man. Not every intention that you have needs to be aligned with some urge or some pain. You can ask Lord to walk into your life and heal you of that and give you the strength to get around that. So you're not tempted by that ball as you run into, as you are tested, that may roll out into the street. You don't need to run across the street. You know better. And most importantly, you intend to survive. So you don't want to betray that in the moment. And that's all it takes is one moment of a mistake that can derail your entire life and every purpose you have, every circumstance that you want to involve yourself in, every experience that you're supposed to be able to enjoy or learn from can go out the window with your mistake. Have you stuck in a box for all time or in a cage for the rest of your life or what have you? You just got to know better, watch others do whatever they do and learn from that. Otherwise, you're going to be that example for somebody else who's smart enough to, hopefully. It's your decision. It's your choice. BDF 44. Thank y'all for watching. I'm out.